Every day, billions of us wake up and the first thing we reach for isn't a glass of water, isn't a loved one's hand, but our phone. Before we even take a breath of fresh air, we dive headfirst into a digital world that is designed, carefully, strategically, to keep us hooked. Social media promises connection, entertainment, and inspiration, but too often it delivers anxiety, distraction, and emptiness. And the scary truth is, the more time we give it, the more it takes from us. Our focus, our energy, our confidence, even our ability to think deeply. Maybe you've noticed it yourself. Hours disappearing into endless scrolling. Conversations cut short because a notification stole your attention. Nights where you planned to rest but instead ended up in a spiral of posts, videos, and comments. You know it doesn't feel good, and yet you keep coming back. That's not by accident. These platforms are built like slot machines for your mind, giving you just enough to crave the next hit, the next like, the next video. But here's the truth they don't want you to realize. You have the power to take back control. You don't have to live as a prisoner to your phone. You don't have to let social media dictate your mood, your habits, or your future. By the end of this video, you will learn 10 powerful rules that will help you escape the grip of social media addiction. These are not just tips. They are tools to reclaim your focus, your peace of mind, and most importantly, your life. Because once you break free, you'll discover something amazing. The real world, the one in front of you, is far richer, more fulfilling, and more beautiful than anything a screen could ever give you. Rule 1. Recognize the addiction. The very first step in breaking free from social media's grip is to admit that it has won on you. And this is not easy. Most people don't like to use the word addiction when talking about their scrolling habits. They tell themselves, "I'm just checking in," or "it's only for fun," or "I can stop whenever I want." But deep down, you know that's not true. Addiction isn't only about drugs or alcohol. It's about anything that consumes your time, your focus, and your energy, to the point that it controls you instead of you controlling it. Take a hard look at your own habits. How many times do you unlock your phone without even realizing it? How many minutes or hours disappear before you even notice? How often do you feel restless, anxious, or uncomfortable when you're away from your phone for too long? These are not harmless quirks. These are warning signs that your attention is being hijacked. Recognizing them is the first act of taking your power back. This step is uncomfortable because it forces you to confront yourself with honesty. But if you never recognize the problem, you will never fix it. Awareness is freedom. It is the light that exposes what has been hiding in the dark. The moment you can say out loud, "Yes, I am addicted to this," you take away the illusion of control that social media has been feeding you. And with that awareness, you create space for change. Remember this: you cannot change what you refuse to acknowledge. Once you recognize the addiction for what it is, you shift from being a passive consumer to someone who can actively take back control. And that recognition, as simple as it may sound, is the foundation for every single step that follows. Rule 2. Understand the consequences. Recognizing that social media is addictive is only the first step. The real transformation begins when you allow yourself to see the full scale of its consequences. Not in vague terms, but in vivid, undeniable detail. Most people brush off the idea that social media is damaging because it doesn't knock you down in one blow. Instead, it works quietly, almost invisibly, eroding your focus, your time, and your well-being one small scroll at a time. That's what makes it so dangerous. You don't wake up one day and suddenly feel ruined. It happens in slow motion. 5 minutes lost here, 20 minutes there, until you look back, months later, and wonder why your goals remain untouched, why your attention span feels weaker, and why your mind feels so restless. Think about how many conversations have been cut short because a screen grabbed your attention. How many moments with family slipped by unnoticed while you were staring at a glowing feed? How many opportunities to learn, to grow, to connect with someone deeply were stolen because your brain was hooked on endless notifications? Social media doesn't just consume your hours, it consumes the richness of life that those hours could have held. Every scroll is a trade. You're giving away time that could have been invested in building your dreams, strengthening your relationships, or even just enjoying the silence that brings clarity. But the consequences run deeper than lost time. Social media reshapes the way your brain works. The constant flood of images and updates trains you to crave instant gratification. Instead of patiently working towards something meaningful, you become restless, addicted to quick dopamine hits. The little rush of a new like, a new comment, a new notification. And slowly, without realizing it, you start to lose your ability to focus on the long game. That book you wanted to write, that business you wanted to start, that habit you wanted to build, they all feel harder because your brain has been rewired to chase quick rewards instead of long-term fulfillment. And then there's the emotional toll. Social media presents a distorted mirror of reality, one that only shows the highlights of other people's lives. You see success without the struggle, beauty without the flaws, happiness without the hardships. And as you compare yourself to these illusions, you begin to feel inadequate, as though you're falling behind. This quiet comparison eats away at your confidence, your peace, and even your sense of gratitude for what you already have. What starts as casual scrolling can spiral into stress, anxiety, and even depression. The truth is hard to face, but it must be faced. Social media platforms are not built to serve you. They are built to own your attention. Every scroll, every like, every endless loop of content is engineered to keep you coming back, not because it's helping you, but because your time is their profit. When you realize this, when you truly let it sink in, you begin to understand that every minute spent in that system is a minute surrendered to someone else's agenda. And this awareness, painful as it is, can be liberating. Because once you see the price you've been paying, you can finally decide to stop paying it. Understanding the consequences doesn't mean you have to hate social media or abandon it completely. It means you reclaim control. You use it on your terms, instead of letting it use you. That awareness becomes your armor, your wake-up call, and your turning point. From this clarity comes strength. The strength to protect your focus, to preserve your energy, and to build the life you deserve, not the life that's constantly interrupted by someone else's feed. Rule 3. Set clear limits. Freedom doesn't come from doing whatever you want whenever you want. It comes from creating boundaries that protect your time, your energy, and your focus. Social media is designed to blur those boundaries, to make you lose track of time, to keep you scrolling without realizing how many minutes or even hours have slipped away. That's why one of the most powerful steps you can take is to set clear, intentional limits on how much time you allow yourself online. This isn't about punishment or restriction. It's about reclaiming your life from the endless pull of distraction. Start by being brutally honest with yourself. How many hours a day do you currently spend scrolling? Track it for a week without judgment. You may be shocked by the results, but this awareness is the foundation of change. Once you see the truth, you can decide what is reasonable and healthy for you. Maybe it's 30 minutes a day. Maybe it's 1 hour split into 2 focused sessions. The key is that you decide, not the algorithm, not the notification, not the habit you've been unconsciously living with. You are the one in control. But setting limits is not enough. You must enforce them with discipline. Use the tools at your disposal. Many phones and apps allow you to set daily timers or lock the app. After a certain usage period, treat those boundaries as sacred, like a promise to yourself. Because every time you respect the limit, you're not just avoiding distraction. You're training your brain to value focus, to build self-control, and to honor the commitments you make to yourself. Of course, temptation will always be there. You'll tell yourself, just 5 more minutes, or just 1 more scroll. But remember, every time you give in, you're teaching your mind that distraction wins. And every time you resist, you're teaching your mind that discipline wins. This isn't just about saving time. It's about building the muscle of self-mastery. And once you strengthen that muscle, it doesn't just affect your social media habits. It affects every area of your life. You become sharper, more productive, and more powerful in your ability to direct your own destiny. The beauty of limits is that they don't shrink your life. They expand it. When you decide to give social media only a small portion of your day, you suddenly free up space for the things that truly matter. Learning new skills, building meaningful relationships, working on your goals, or simply enjoying peace of mind. Your life begins to feel less cluttered, less rushed, less consumed by things that don't matter. Instead, it feels more intentional, more balanced, more aligned with the person you want to become. Setting limits is not about restriction. It is about liberation. It's about saying, I am more valuable than an algorithm. My time is precious. My focus is sacred. And once you start living by those limits, you will feel the weight of addiction lift, replaced by the empowering sense that you, not your screen, are the one in charge. Rule 4. Turn off notifications. One of the biggest traps of social media addiction isn't just the content itself. It's the constant stream of notifications designed to pull you back in. Every ping, buzz, or flashing banner is a psychological hook. It's not random. It's engineered to create urgency, to make you feel like you're missing something important, to trigger that irresistible curiosity that keeps you checking your phone. But here's the truth. Most of those notifications add no real value to your life. They don't improve your day. They don't bring you closer to your goals. They only steal your focus. Imagine for a moment how much mental energy you waste just by glancing at your phone every few minutes. Even if you don't open the app, your brain is disrupted. You lose the flow of your thoughts. You interrupt your focus. And when this happens dozens or even hundreds of times a day, your attention span shrinks, your productivity collapses, and your ability to be present in real life weakens. It's no wonder so many people feel constantly distracted, anxious, or restless. That's why turning off notifications is such a powerful step. It may seem small, but it's a declaration of independence. It's saying, I will decide when I engage with social media, not the other way around. Without constant alerts hijacking your attention, you reclaim the quiet space your mind needs to focus, create, and live fully in the moment. Start simple. Go into your phone's settings and disable notifications for every social media app. No banners, no sounds, no lock screen previews. At first, it will feel strange. You may even feel a sense of emptiness or discomfort. That's because your brain has been trained to expect constant stimulation. But with time, that silence becomes freedom. Your thoughts flow longer. Your concentration deepens. You start living life on your own terms rather than reacting to every digital interruption. Instead of being pulled back into apps dozens of times a day, you create intentional windows of time to check them, on your schedule, not theirs. This single change reduces mindless scrolling, lowers anxiety, and helps break the cycle of dependency. You'll notice that the fewer times you allow an app to interrupt you, the less power it has over you. Think of it this way. Every notification you ignore is a small victory. Every alert you disable is another chain broken. And each step in silencing those digital triggers strengthens your ability to live with clarity, calm, and control. Turning off notifications isn't about missing out. It's about finally tuning in to your own life, your own goals, and your own peace of mind. Rule 5. Replace scrolling with purposeful habits. Endless scrolling is the silent thief of modern life. You pick up your phone for just 5 minutes, and suddenly 30 minutes, or even hours, are gone. And what do you have to show for it? A blur of random videos, recycled posts, and shallow entertainment that leaves you feeling drained instead of fulfilled. The truth is, scrolling has become a reflex, not a choice. Your brain has been conditioned to reach for stimulation whenever there's a pause. Waiting in line, sitting on the couch, lying in bed. But every minute you give to mindless scrolling is a minute stolen from your growth, your passions, and your real-life connections. The way to break this cycle isn't simply to stop scrolling. It's to replace it with something better. Habits don't disappear by willpower alone. They need to be swapped with purposeful alternatives that feed your mind and spirit instead of draining them. Imagine the difference if, instead of scrolling through social media, you picked up a book that sharpened your knowledge, practiced a skill you've always wanted to master, or simply sat in silence to reflect on your goals. Those same minutes that once vanished into a black hole of distraction could begin to build the future you dream about. This shift requires awareness. The next time you feel that urge to scroll, pause and ask yourself, what do I really need right now? Am I bored? Am I tired? Am I looking for inspiration or just avoiding something I don't want to face? Once you identify the trigger, you can make a conscious choice. Instead of reaching for your phone, you might take a quick walk to refresh your body, write down your thoughts to clear your head, or send a message to someone you genuinely care about. Each of these small acts replaces empty consumption with meaningful action. At first, it will feel uncomfortable. Your brain, accustomed to instant dopamine hits, will crave the easy escape of scrolling. But the longer you resist and the more you replace it with purposeful habits, the weaker that craving becomes. Over time, you'll notice that you don't even miss the endless feed. You're too busy living. You'll start to feel the satisfaction of building something real, whether it's knowledge, relationships, or inner peace. Replacing scrolling isn't about giving up pleasure. It's about choosing a deeper, longer-lasting kind of fulfillment. Social media feeds your hunger but never nourishes you. It keeps you coming back for more while leaving you empty. Purposeful habits, on the other hand, fill you up with progress, clarity, and growth. One day you'll look back and realize you no longer waste hours staring at a screen. Instead, you've been learning, building, connecting, and becoming the person you want to be. And that is the true power of replacement. Every moment you take back from mindless scrolling is a moment invested in your own evolution. Rule 6. Create no-phone zones. Protect sacred spaces from distractions. Your environment shapes your behavior more than you realize. If your phone is always within reach, on your nightstand, on the dinner table, on your desk, it will constantly pull at your attention like a magnet. One notification, one vibration, one glance at the screen, and suddenly you're gone, pulled into a world of endless updates, likes, and distractions. That's why one of the most powerful ways to regain control over your life is to deliberately create no-phone zones, spaces where your device simply does not belong. Think about your bedroom. It should be a sanctuary for rest, recovery, and intimacy. Yet for many people, it has become just another scrolling station. How often have you laid in bed, phone in hand, telling yourself, just 5 more minutes, only to lose an hour of sleep to meaningless content? By removing your phone from the bedroom, you reclaim the peace of winding down at night and the clarity of waking up without distraction. Imagine starting your mornings with calm reflection, stretching, or journaling instead of diving into a flood of noise. That single shift alone could transform your energy and mindset. Now think about the dining table. Meals are one of the few moments when families, friends, but by setting this space as a no-phone zone, you build an environment where productivity and creativity can flourish without interruption. You'll find yourself entering deeper states of focus, completing tasks faster, and producing work that actually reflects your potential. Creating no-phone zones isn't just about restriction, it's about protection. You're protecting your rest, your relationships, your productivity, and your peace of mind. You're declaring that some parts of your life are too sacred to be invaded by constant distraction. At first, you might feel uncomfortable without your phone in these spaces, like something is missing. But soon you'll realize what's missing isn't your phone. It's the distraction, the anxiety, the constant pull on your attention. What replaces it is presence, clarity, and freedom. By carving out these sacred zones, you're not just limiting your phone, you're expanding your life. You're reclaiming the spaces that matter most, filling them not with endless scrolling, but with rest, love, focus, and meaning. Over time, these no-phone zones become the foundation of a life that feels fuller, calmer, and more in control. Rule 7. Schedule real-life connections. Reclaim the power of human presence. Social media has mastered the art of illusion. It offers the promise of community, the suggestion of belonging, and the comfort of constant communication. But beneath that glittering surface hides a harsher truth. The more we scroll, the more disconnected we often feel. Loneliness is not cured by endless notifications. It is amplified by them. Because while likes, comments, and emojis may look like connection, they are hollow shadows of the real thing. They are echoes, not voices. They are symbols, not feelings. They cannot replace the human touch, the shared silence, or the deep look in someone's eyes that says, "I'm here with you." That's why one of the most powerful antidotes to social media addiction is not to simply reduce screen time, but to fill that time with meaningful human connection. And here's the important part. You cannot leave this to chance. If you wait for the right moment to connect, it will never come. Social media fills every gap, every pause, every moment of stillness in your day. To counter it, you must act deliberately. Schedule coffee with a friend, even if it's just 30 minutes. Call your parents, not because you have news to share, but simply to hear their voice. Invite your sibling or neighbor for a walk, where phones stay in your pocket. Host a dinner where no screens are allowed, where the focus is on stories, laughter, and presence. Consider the difference. On one side, a double tap on a picture. On the other, the sound of laughter echoing across a table. On one side, a quick, "How are you?" typed into a chat box. On the other, an hour-long conversation where time seems to dissolve because you're both so present. One is fleeting. The other lingers in your memory, nourishing you long after it ends. Real-life connection has weight. It leaves a mark. It fills the emptiness that social media only disguises. And here's another truth. These real connections don't just strengthen your bonds with others, they repair your bond with yourself. Social media thrives on comparison. It conditions you to measure your life against curated highlight reels, leaving you restless, insecure, or unworthy. But when you step into genuine connection, you're reminded of reality. You remember that you don't need to prove yourself with filters or achievements. You remember that your presence is enough, that being loved has nothing to do with numbers, and that authenticity will always matter more than perfection. So make real-life connection a ritual, not an afterthought. Put it on your calendar the same way you would an important meeting or deadline. Guard it fiercely. Protect it as if it's sacred, because it is. Human presence is what keeps you alive in ways no algorithm ever will. No matter how advanced technology becomes, no screen can replicate the warmth of a hug, the spark of shared laughter, or the silence between two people who understand each other without words. Every time you choose presence over pixels, every time you choose to hear a voice instead of reading a caption, every time you choose to look into someone's eyes instead of at a glowing screen, you reclaim a piece of yourself that social media has stolen. And with enough of those moments, the pull of the digital world begins to fade. You no longer crave the artificial comfort of likes because you have replaced it with something infinitely stronger: the joy of being truly connected. Rule 8. Practice digital detox days. Choose one day to step away and reset your mind. There comes a point when your mind forgets what stillness feels like. Constant scrolling, buzzing notifications, and endless updates condition your brain to crave stimulation every second. The result? You lose the ability to sit in silence, to think deeply, to breathe without distraction. And the scariest part is this: most people don't even realize it's happening. Social media slowly becomes the background noise of their lives, so constant that they no longer question it. That's why digital detox days are not just helpful, they are essential. Choosing one day each week to go completely offline is like pressing a reset button on your brain. It interrupts the constant flood of information and gives your nervous system a chance to exhale. Think about it. Our ancestors spent thousands of years living without screens, yet in just the last decade, we've trained ourselves to treat them as oxygen. A detox day reminds you that life exists beyond the scroll. It reintroduces you to the richness of the present moment. The sound of the wind, the rhythm of your breath, the feeling of time moving slowly instead of rushing past in a blur. At first, it will feel uncomfortable. You'll reach for your phone out of habit, not even realizing you're doing it. You'll feel a phantom itch to check your apps, as if you're missing out on something important. But what you're really missing out on is yourself. The very discomfort you feel is proof of how deeply the addiction runs and how desperately you need the break. Push through that restlessness and you will discover something most people have forgotten: clarity. Ideas begin to flow. Emotions you've buried under constant distraction rise to the surface. You begin to notice the world again, not through a screen, but through your senses. A digital detox day is not about deprivation, it's about restoration. It's not about what you give up, but what you gain. You gain time. Hours you would have wasted scrolling are now open for reading, journaling, walking, or simply sitting with your thoughts. You gain focus. Without the constant pull of notifications, your mind can finally dive deep into a project, a book, or a conversation. And most importantly, you gain freedom. The realization that you are not a slave to algorithms, that you can choose when to engage, that your worth is not measured by online attention. Over time, this single practice can rewire your relationship with technology. One detox day a week turns into 2, then into evenings without screens, then into mornings spent in peace instead of chaos. Slowly but surely, you create a rhythm where you are in charge of your attention, not social media companies. That is the true power of detox. It breaks the illusion that you must be online to live fully, and it replaces it with the truth: you live more fully when you are offline. So choose your day. Commit to it. Guard it as you would any sacred ritual. Let the world chatter on without you for 24 hours, and watch how little you actually miss, and how much of yourself you begin to reclaim. In a society addicted to distraction, silence and presence are not luxuries. They are lifelines. And if you are serious about avoiding the trap of social media, this is the habit that will free your mind more than any app, setting, or tool ever could. Rule 9. Use social media as a tool, not a drug. Log in with intention. Social media itself is not the enemy. It is the way we use it that determines whether it serves us or enslaves us. Think about it. A hammer can build a house or destroy one. Fire can cook a meal or burn down a village. The same is true for social media. It can be a tool that expands your knowledge, helps you network with brilliant minds, and allows you to share your voice with the world. But if you approach it without intention, it quickly transforms into something dangerous. An addictive drug that steals your time, fractures your focus, and clouds your clarity. The difference lies in how you enter it. Most people log on with no plan. They open an app just for a minute, only to lose an hour in endless scrolling, jumping from video to video, post to post, until they don't even remember why they opened it in the first place. That is not use. That is consumption. That is handing over your attention, the most valuable currency you own, to companies that profit from keeping you distracted. Using social media as a tool means logging in with a mission. Maybe your goal is to share your work, to learn something new, to connect with a specific person, or to promote an idea. You decide beforehand why you are opening that app, and once the mission is accomplished, you log out. Nothing more. No wandering. No endless, just one more scroll. Like walking into a store to buy one item instead of wandering aimlessly down every aisle, you go in with purpose and leave once the purpose is fulfilled. This shift changes everything. Suddenly, social media stops being a time thief and starts becoming a time amplifier. Instead of draining your energy, it gives you value because you are in control. You stop being the product that algorithms manipulate, and you start being the creator who uses the platform on your own terms. That is power. Rare power in a digital age where most people are controlled by their devices. But here's the truth. This requires discipline. You will be tempted. The apps are designed to keep you scrolling, to feed you endless novelty so that you forget to stop. That's why intention is your shield. Before you log in, ask yourself, why am I opening this app right now? What do I need from it? How long will I stay? If you can't answer those questions, don't open it at all. Because if you don't set the rules, the platform will. And their rules are designed to keep you hooked, not free. Using social media as a tool, not a drug, is about reclaiming your agency. It's about proving to yourself that you are the master of your attention, not the servant of your impulses. It's about transforming something that was designed to distract you into something that strengthens you. When you shift from passive consumer to intentional user, social media stops controlling your life and starts enriching it. And that, more than any app setting, productivity hack, or detox challenge, is what separates those who thrive in the digital age from those who drown in it. Rule 10. Focus on your bigger goals. Every minute matters. At the end of the day, the battle with social media isn't really about apps, notifications, or even the hours you spend online. It's about something much deeper: your life, your future, your dreams. Every minute you spend endlessly scrolling is not just time passing. It is time taken away from the goals you say matter most to you. And here's the painful truth. Once that time is gone, you can never get it back. Think about the goals that burn inside you, the career you want, the skills you dream of mastering, the life you imagine living. None of those things will magically arrive one day. They demand effort, energy, and above all, time. Yet when you allow social media to consume your attention, you trade the precious hours that could be invested in building your future for fleeting moments of cheap entertainment. It is like giving away bricks meant to build your house, just to collect glitter that vanishes in seconds. The truth is, most people fail not because they lack talent or opportunity, but because they let distractions steal their focus. They underestimate how small choices add up. 15 minutes lost in the morning, half an hour wasted at lunch, an hour gone at night. Over weeks, months, years. That adds up to thousands of hours. Imagine what you could achieve if even half of that energy was redirected toward your dreams. A new language learned, a business launched, a book written, a stronger body, a sharper mind, a better life, all built by reclaiming the time you currently hand over to an endless scroll. Focusing on your bigger goals doesn't mean living without joy or cutting yourself off from the world. It means remembering that your life has a direction, and every day you are either moving closer to it or drifting further away. Social media pulls you sideways, scattering your energy, keeping you busy but not productive. Your goals, on the other hand, demand depth, focus, and presence. They require you to say no to distractions so you can say yes to the future you want. Every time you feel the urge to check your feed, pause and ask yourself, is this bringing me closer to the life I want or pulling me further from it? That one question can shift your perspective. It can remind you that the real reward isn't a like, a view, or a fleeting dopamine rush. The real reward is building a life so fulfilling, so meaningful, that you no longer feel the need to escape it through a screen. Your dreams are waiting. Your potential is waiting. And they are worth far more than any post, any reel, or any headline that tries to distract you. Social media will always be there, but your time will not. Guard it fiercely. Invest it wisely. Because the greatest tragedy is not being addicted to an app. It's waking up one day and realizing you traded your future for nothing. Avoiding social media is not just about cutting distractions. It's about reclaiming your life. Every scroll you resist, every notification you silence, is a step closer to the person you want to become. Remember, your time is your most valuable resource. Use it to build, not to waste. If this message spoke to you, click that subscribe button. Take the first step today. Limit your screen time. Focus on your bigger goals and choose progress over distraction. And if you found value here, share this video so others can break free too.